The Shooting Range. In this episode, pages of history, chasing the first air victory, special, new ground vehicle modules, and metal beasts, the Dutch saw. The parade of new vehicles is still on. Today we're taking a break from the roar of jet turbines and the clanking of tank tracks, because instead, we're taking a ride on a unique prop plane. Please welcome a Dutch multi-role twin-engine aircraft, the Fokker G.IA. The thing you spot first on this heavy fighter is a rare design that uses a twin boom. The aircraft is propelled by two 9-cylinder radial engines with a total thrust reaching almost 1,500 horsepower. It's by no means a record even for Rank 2, but this Dutchie still enjoys decent dynamics and a good climb rate. It also spawns in the air, which is a nice advantage over single-engine fighters. Now, the main highlight it offers is high firepower. The nose of the plane houses an entire stockade of 8 small-caliber machine guns and a total ammo pool of 4,000 rounds. You might wonder, why the small caliber? Well, the answer is, it's good enough. All of the machine guns are placed in a tight space, which fuses their volleys into a single beam that basically saws apart anything it touches. How's that for a saw? Thanks to this impressive firepower, the Fokker feels great in both frontal and energy attacks, and it can even turn fight some enemies with no hassle. Of course, it's a twin-engined fighter, so its turn rate is inferior to most lighter aircraft, but the Dutch plane brings an ace to the fight. You see, there's another machine gun with amazing firing angles in its tail. Anyone trying to chase this plane is in for a nasty surprise, and once the chaser's damaged, you can finish them off with your nose saw. The Fokker can also shine in mixed battles. Its bomb arsenal includes ordnance with calibers between 50 and 400 kilograms. You can try and bet on a larger number of smaller bombs, of course, but they're tricky to use right. The bomb bay introduces a small delay to the drop, so hitting even light tanks might be an issue. That's why our choice is the 400 kilo bomb. You're very likely to find a nice tight group of vehicles where even a single drop can net you multiple frags. The Fokker G.IA is more than a unique Dutch aircraft in War Thunder. It's also an exciting machine on its own. Whether you're a new player or a seasoned vet, you can expect some truly enjoyable gameplay with it. Werner Mulders has already gained fame as the best German ace in Spain. When World War II began, he was trying his best to get to the Eastern Front. Everyone there was painting victory marks on their aircraft, winning new fame, ranks, and medals. Meanwhile, Werner himself was on a secondary front, on the western border. Only in 2 days, Great Britain and France declared war on Germany, and he soon realized he could expect air battles nearby as well. The news came on September 8th. The Hurricanes were crossing the English Channel. The newest German Emils warmed up their motors and lined up for takeoff. The headquarters put some champagne in the fridge to congratulate the first lucky winner. The competition was on. And so, 4 fighters, headed by Mulders, were searching for a good fight. And, as they say, where there's a will, there's a way. They soon spotted half a dozen French Curtiss H-75s doing some patrolling. The Germans launched an attack, and that attack was insanely quick and effective. They dived and rained furious, albeit uncoordinated fire on the unsuspecting French planes. As it turned out, everyone focused on a single aircraft. The German pilots seemed to have unanimously decided that it was the easiest target to shoot down. Robert Cruchon, a young lieutenant, had to leave the fight on his hopelessly damaged machine. What was Mulders thinking at the time? Maybe wondering if they finally scored that first victory? Or whose score it would be? Everyone was shooting at the same target after all. Maybe he wanted to take the credit. Pondering how to capture the event on his gun camera to get undeniable proof that he was the one to score the first documented air victory? We'll never know. What we do know, though, is that the famed ace soon made a mistake. He didn't go up after the attack or try to speed away from the slower H-75s. He began a turn and tried to start a dogfight. Was that his reflexes kicking in? The ones he developed flying the Heinkel 51 biplanes in Spain? Or maybe some sort of arrogance? We'll never know that either. The result of his mistake is well known, however. Less than a minute later, a volley shredded the wing of his Emile, and then another one hit his fuselage. The punishment for his mistake and misplaced excitement was dealt by another young French lieutenant, Antoine Cazeneuve. Once other Messerschmitts saw what happened to their leader, they tried to flee. Mulders himself turned back east, towards Germany, with his engine sneezing and his radiator leaving a long steam trail. He still had the speed advantage, so he managed to break away from the chasing French aircraft. He tried to deploy his gear near the ground, but the hydraulics failed. On landing, his aircraft made a skip, plucked the ground with the radiator, and toppled belly up. The pilot miraculously survived, but had to spend a few nasty hours hanging in his pilot seat upside down, unable to move. All he could do was pray that his aircraft wouldn't crush him and the fuel tanks wouldn't catch fire. Now, how about the French group? Robert Cruchon failed to bring his Curtiss home and had to bail. He was the first French pilot to be shot down in World War II. Meanwhile, Antoine Cazeneuve actually got his champagne and a share of fame. After all, he was the first French pilot to down a German plane in World War II, which was also his first ever air victory. The young lieutenant had a long road ahead of him, one full of tragedy, trouble, and hardship. He never found out that he downed the current best German ace that day. Mulders was eventually pulled out of the crashed plane and rescued. However, he failed to interpret that sign of fate correctly. The Seek and Destroy update brought quite a number of changes to ground vehicles. The reworked damage models are arguably one of the major new things. Well, let's talk about them. We made another great step towards making our game more realistic. Ground vehicles can now completely lose their wheels. Unlike the new tracks, it's not a visual effect, but a brand new mechanic. It has a direct effect on vehicle mobility and can result in a whole heap of situations. For instance, losing all powered wheels makes a vehicle stationary. Losing all steerable wheels removes the ability to turn. And a vehicle that loses all wheels on one side will simply bottom out. Although some vehicles can continue fighting just fine, even if they lose half of their wheels. Of course, simple field repairs can fix all that. You won't even need to find the nearest repair shop. In addition to reworking wheels, we're embarking on an extensive journey to add new functional internal modules for ground vehicles. This change will focus on light vehicles with a lot of empty space inside. You can already see 5 new types of modules in high-rank tanks and SPAAs. Let's take a closer look at the new internals. The autoloader is now more than a magical gizmo that handles the ammo for the crew. It's a fully fledged internal module that takes up quite a lot of room inside a vehicle. Damaging the autoloader blocks the reload of the cannon or launcher until it's fixed. It can still fire any ordnance that was loaded before the module was damaged. Module 2 is the Fire Control System, or FCS for short. Depending on the vehicle, it can be responsible for sighting devices like the rangefinder, the stabilizer, and the night vision device, as well as auxiliary systems like the laser warning receiver. In vehicles with unmanned turrets or remotely controlled weaponry, the Fire Control System is also responsible for aiming and firing. Damaging the FCS module blocks access to everything connected to it until the vehicle's repaired. Another new module with similar features is the Power System. A failure in the power system impedes the function of all powered systems, like the Fire Control System, the radar, or the optical system. It can also start a fire, and the damaged vehicle will need to use its fire extinguisher. As always, you can see all the connected modules by checking the tooltip in the X-ray mode. Module number 4 is called Electronic Equipment. Damage to it disrupts the following sensors: radar, IRST, and LWR. And finally, there's the most straightforward module: driver controls. Hitting it renders the vehicle stationary. Share your thoughts in the comments while we answer some of your questions. The first question was sent by a player called Diego with Ego 23. Can you tell me a good loadout for the F-16AJ in the Japanese tech tree? Hey Diego, in air battles, take 4 close-range missiles and 2 medium-range ones. For larger maps, you can also add between 1 and 3 drop tanks for extra fuel. And in mixed battles, the best loadouts include 2,000-pound bombs or Maverick missiles. The Lone Wolf asks, can you do a special segment talking about how to set up your key bindings? Hello, Lone Wolf. Our game features a lot of different vehicles and mechanics, so making a single segment about all the controls will take a lot of time and end up too complicated. Besides, key bindings are individual for each player. Try our control setup wizard to go through the process and assign everything you need to where you want it to be. Another question comes from Shadow Killer Games. What are the 2 tubes on the top of the Super Pershing? Hey there, those are parts of the vertical guidance mechanism that hold the super heavy barrel. By the way, they have their own damage model in our game. Elias Alves Souza writes, can you do a Metal Beasts on the Churchill NA-75? Hi Elias, thanks for the suggestion. We have a few more new vehicles planned for the near future, but we'll get back to the Churchill once we're done with the update. And the last comment for today was written by Mod Effects. Can you show us how to land using VTOL from speed? Hi there, it's not too hard really. Vector the thrust down, rev the engine up to its maximum, and make a sharp maneuver as if you're braking with the jet stream. Once your speed is low, switch the hovering mode on, reduce thrust, and lower the plane to the ground. Don't forget the landing gear. That's it for today. You've been watching The Shooting Range by Gaijin Entertainment, and the next episode will premiere the following Sunday at 4 p.m. GMT or noon Eastern Time. Subscribe and click the bell if you don't want to miss our next videos. Don't forget to check out the internals of your favorite vehicle, leave a like, share your thoughts and comments, and see you next week.